I definitely brought you on because I want to troll you a little bit here.
All
What
right,
is
all
going
right, all
on?
right, all
What is
right.
going on? I heard yesterday that Oklahoma State, who I call Okie Lite, and for reasons like this, are not going to have a spring game. What's up with that? It's a little defense.
I've seen polls all daggone day on Twitter from my peoples talking about that what is the polling numbers? Do you care whether the spring game goes away or not? Yes, because I like it. No, because it's irrelevant. And to see how many people vote that it's irrelevant, to me, it's just like, no, this is in my opinion very out of touch, right? This
Very
is
Okie Light.
very
Very
out of
Okie
touch,
Light. Come
out of
on.
reach decision.
Let's go! Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. And if you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Folks, I have a special guest with us today. We are going to get into a couple of little things um, relating to the Pac 12. But before we start with the Pac 12, Big 12 stuff, I let me go ahead and bring him on, Mr. Cody Stovall from the Locked On Oklahoma State podcast. Welcome to the show, Cody.
What's up, brother, man? I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in, man. Um, I definitely brought you on because I want to troll you a little bit here.
All
What
right,
is
all
going
right, all
on?
right, all
What is
right.
going on? I heard yesterday that Oklahoma State, who I call Okie Lite, and for reasons like this, are not going to have a spring game. What's up with that?
Yeah, no, that's pretty. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Right, and to be honest with you, right, more so than that, I think it's part of the reaction. So instead of people, I don't know, questioning why this is happening or why there wasn't maybe the appearance at least of more effort put forth, it's the
Right.
fact that there's a defense of it. There's a decent amount of
They're
fans that
defending it. Oh
I've
yeah, I've
seen.
noticed a little of that on Twitter.
I've
A little
seen
defense. A little
polls.
defense.
I've seen polls all daggone day on Twitter from my peoples talking about that what is the polling numbers? Do you care whether the spring game goes away or not? Yes, because I like it. No, because it's irrelevant. And to see how many people vote that it's irrelevant, to me, it's just like, no, this is in my opinion very out of touch, right? This
Very
is
Okie Light.
very
Very
out of
Okie
touch,
Light. Come
out of
on.
reach. It's the word alienation may be too strong. All right, maybe
Mhm.
that's fair, but
Okay.
when you're trying to build momentum and you're trying to get some people fired up, get some donors fired up, and feel like there's a good direction at least coming into fall camp. Okay, cool. Then you can get excited. Make sure we have another year of all everything being sold out all the time.
Doesn't it do
But
something for your
but then
players?
we announce this, and it's just like I don't. How does this
Yeah, I
benefit
mean, doesn't it do something
anybody?
for your players though too? I mean, what about the seniors and stuff? You're going to send them. I mean, this is
And it's not even the seniors; it's the underclassmen. When you're an
right. Give
underclassman,
them an
right,
opportunity to
and you're
yeah.
and you're
Uh-huh.
trying to show that when the lights come on to some degree and there's people in the stands, that you can step up. You can prove that you can be maybe not an X factor, right? Because if you're a sophomore trying
Well,
to get some
whatever it
playing
is.
time,
Yeah.
maybe you're a
Proving
Z factor.
something.
Right. And so if you in the spring game, if you have 6 catches for 133 yards, you may have just gone from complete obscurity to, okay, should this guy be talked about for a two deep? And not only that, all the recruits and the parents and the buddies from high school, they come to these games because they also know my homie's probably going to get a little bit of playing time in this thing. So in my opinion, you're robbing the fans some of the ability to get a sneak peek of what we
Get an
have
idea
coming.
of what they're going to see. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it also is massively
I got a
beneficial
question
for
then.
recruiting because you have the parents, right? You have the kids of the parents, you have more recruits. And instead of your son being, again, predicated to everything on the three deep, everything on scout team, now
Right.
maybe you get a chance. And I don't know, man. It seems
Well, in
like
view
a
of the fact
move
that you
that's
lost a lot
very
of guys last year, I think everybody's going to get a shot, right? Uh, and and listen, here's the thing, and the question I would have for you is this maybe something, because we talked a little off air. Why wouldn't you just go and, I mean, if you've got some high school stadiums in the area that are, I mean, maybe that obviously they're not going to hold the same thing as Boone Pickens Stadium. We get that,
right,
right?
right.
But why wouldn't you, rather than, because the announcement was in, okay, hold on. Is this maybe a ploy by Gundy to not want to show what he's got at all, because maybe he doesn't have what he thought he did? Or, I mean, I don't know. It just seems weird to me.
Well,
I mean,
it's hard.
and listen,
It's
you don't
hard.
have to answer that if you don't want to.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no, no.
saying,
Here's the
to
thing.
me,
It's
it
hard
seems
to
a little
say the
odd.
word. It's very difficult nowadays to say the word conspiracy theory, right? Because nowadays half the things that you've been taught your entire life, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, dang, maybe Uncle Bobbio wasn't so daggone crazy. So you can't even say it's a conspiracy theory thing.
No. Well, and
But
I mean,
I
look,
mean,
it
I don't.
just seems like mail it in, man. Just mail the whole damn thing in. What are we doing? I mean, and
I don't. I
it's like
wouldn't.
there's no fight put up. What I was saying off there, we were talking about there's not a high school stadium somewhere in the area that maybe you could. I mean, rather than this 30-minute meet and greet, how many fans could possibly meet the players in 30 minutes?
Right. This
Very
is
Okie Lite.
very, very
Very
out of
Okie
touch,
Lite. Come
out of
on.
the blue decision. I mean, yeah, it takes
What the
longer than that to
crap?
just to go through the line when they're sitting down at tables to get autographs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even
It, it
if
just
there's no
it
autographs involved, if they say hi, it's going to take longer than 30 minutes, right? If
well,
they
so
say hi.
I don't think I necessarily buy the whole, yeah, but deception move, right? Hide the hand and the bird over here, yada yada. I don't know if I necessarily get all that. But what I will say, and kind of what you're saying is, by doing what you're doing, you're allowing that conversation to even happen when it doesn't need to
Right.
be because you
Especially
are
for
right,
guys like me. I'm an Oklahoma guy, so of
bro.
course I'm going to bring that crap up. Come on.
Bro, somebody like maybe heck, I don't even know, a Ricky Fowler or a Victor Hovland could probably,
Show
possibly
up.
hit Stillwater High School from the top of Oklahoma State softball stadium. And you're telling me we couldn't go down the road there and play at Stillwater High?
Right.
I mean, heck, we couldn't play on the library lawn just to give the fans and everybody something. I
Sure.
just,
No, like I said, that's what I'm saying. Or
I don't
even
get
you could even go. I mean, here was my thoughts earlier on it. Whenever I started thinking about it a little bit yesterday, was like, what is a place throughout the state that maybe you're wanting to get more recruits to start coming to O State? I mean, why wouldn't, I mean, now, especially if you're
right.
trying to build a pipeline, like say, like I said, you've got Bixby and you've got Jenks High School and you've got, a lot of these schools around that are, these are power programs in the state of
Well,
Oklahoma.
we've had a very good pipeline the last 8 years was Edmond Santa Fe, Calvin Bunnage, I know Trace Ford, even though there's a switch
That's what
up,
I'm saying.
he was
And
part
in
of
that
that.
case, why wouldn't you go there
All
and
over.
especially now that Oklahoma is going to be going to the SEC after this season, and you have an opportunity to establish yourself in the Big 12 as that power school. We've talked about this part before.
Right.
And to me, when the fact, I mean, I know that you expect them to win 8 or 9 games this year. I think you're crazy,
Roger.
but I
Yeah.
think that that's what your expectation is. If you're ever going to do that kind of stuff, wouldn't you want to go ahead and start? Hey, you know what? We are the Big 12 school of record. Because you should be number one. I mean, you really should be.
I understand.
Obviously, when you get
Right.
these four
I
corner
agree.
schools, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I would be wanting to really hit the state of Oklahoma because of the fact that you've got Oklahoma is going to the Sooners are going to be very focused on Florida and Texas and some of those real high fertile recruiting grounds that you have to kind of get into in order to compete in the SEC. That doesn't mean that they don't want to get the best of Oklahoma, but it seems to me like you could use that. You could use that to your advantage if you're Mike Gundy and you gave a crap about it, which, go ahead.
Well, not only that, I think it is fair, at least to some degree, to give kudos to Lincoln Riley because Lincoln Riley knew he had the ability to recruit nationally, so he didn't have to focus as much on the Okies. So it allowed us to kind of open that door to get your people like a Kendall Daniels, right? People that traditionally, typically used to go to OU, and I do think somebody even like a Deshaun Brown or a Jaleel Johnson could be somebody mixed in there as well. So we've been able recently to capitalize on Okies, and I would imagine that is something that Brett Venables is not only keenly aware of, but
he said it
in
before.
my
He said
opinion,
it plenty
the
of times that
bright
it's
side
important to get those guys out of Oklahoma that are
yeah.
great players from the state. You
The
know, he
bright
wants to
side of Brett
continue to do it.
Venables is he was there in the last iteration of the heyday. Yeah. Therefore, he understands those connections. And even though you may not have a volume amount of guys in Oklahoma,
There's
because
always
it's
good
not,
ones.
it's a state of only 4 million people, but you're going to get dudes out of there like a Josh Jacobs, like a Kendall Daniels,
Absolutely.
like even a Brandon Whedon or a Ryan Broyles or a Landry Jones. Like you're going to be able to get a lot of those type of
Well, Landry's
individuals,
from New
or
Mexico,
not
but
Landry,
the
but
family's
Sam
from
Bradford.
yeah.
Sorry, Sam Bradford.
Right. Sam. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
God. Sam was really good.
And you just you're going to be able to capitalize on that if
Sure.
you continue trajectory of doing what? Of winning. Because let's face it, guys, if OU or Texas go to the SEC and it's always a competition for third or fourth place, which we all know good and daggone well is very successful. If that's happening, meanwhile, we're playing in the Big 12 title game every other year, winning one every other year type of situation, then we have the ability to say, guys, are we going to make as much money as the SEC? Maybe not, right? Ever.
Yeah.
Are we going to make as much money as the Big 10?
Probably
Probably
not,
not,
but
ever. But
honestly,
will
I
we be
think that
that third
you
best
have a better
conference?
opportunity to be competitive with the
That's
SEC
it, man.
money-wise
That's
in
it.
the way we talked about this on your space thing that you had
Well,
yesterday, that
and these
having
kids,
that
these kids
opportunity.
that are these
But
kids that
not
are
having a spring game, this is
contemplating.
why we can circle back to this spring game stuff, is you've got to start acting like a real program at some point. I mean,
When you say that, I think if you've seen the new designs of the Athletic Village and the
that's not what
success
I'm talking
already of
about. And you know what I
Weiberg
mean? But things like
and
that, why
Strom.
would you just blow that off like it doesn't matter is the point I'm trying to make. If you're
Oh,
going to sit
the
there and
spring game?
yes,
Oh yeah, no, I don't understand that. I don't get it. I don't
that's
get
what
it
I'm
at
saying.
all.
And I'm not, that's what I'm saying. That is not what a power program, believe you me, if this is Oklahoma, Oklahoma finds a way to make this happen. If they have to cut off half the stadium, they're going to be doing some
Right? Yeah.
renovations there. If they got to cut off half the stadium and only have half of it, then so be it. But they're going to do that, right?
I mean,
I
hell,
mean, if
man,
you look at Texas
go
a couple of years ago when they were redoing that one end of the stadium, that there was parts of the stadium that they were not filling up.
right.
But they were still doing, and I mean, shit, they've been terrible, and they were still doing the right thing. You know what I mean? It's just the kind of stuff that Gundy doesn't feel like he has to do that, and nobody holds his freaking feet to the fire. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Right? This
Very
is
Okie Lite.
very, very
Very Okie Lite. Come
out of the
on.
blue decision. Well, so somebody actually
Other
said
than
to
you.
me, somebody actually said to me yesterday, and something to that regard, right? Well, why would people be blaming Gundy? And I even said, I don't necessarily blame Gundy, right? I don't necessarily think this is his decision,
Right.
but
It's not that
but
it's his decision, but he
hold
could figure
on,
something
hold
out.
on. It's the
All right.
indecision that speaks just as much volume because we all know good and damn well if Mike Gundy was like, hey, guys, I understand we're having issues and this and that and the other, but we've got to do something, right? Even if it's go out to the library lawn and run routes for everybody and at least watch the quarterbacks throw balls,
Look, if you
do
wanted to
something.
do
If
yeah.
Gundy if he hoot and hollered enough to make it happen, it would be happening. But that's the
And that's
thing,
the whole
right?
point that I'm trying to
Maybe
make is I feel like you could make a positive out of this of being like, you know what? Let's take
100%
this spring game to the state.
do
Let's take
something.
this and maybe you set that up to where I mean, even Tulsa would probably let them use it. I don't know why they wouldn't, right?
No
I mean,
reason not to, right?
why not? I'm and you look, Tulsa's got some power programs that are in the area. Do they
Right.
not? I mean, you've got guys that I mean, I know Oklahoma, they've picked up Gentry Williams, and by the way, prayers for Gentry Williams. He has some issues, some health issues, a health scare. He was released from the hospital this morning. I don't have a ton of information on that. Just wanted to say prayers for him though.
I
So
make
just
sure we're throwing prayers out. Make sure we're throwing prayers out to the cowboy himself, Bill Self.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
whatever's happening. But again, just talking about some of these local kids and things like that, Gentry being and he was expected to be a big part of what Oklahoma's doing this season. Obviously, we're just looking at him being healthy and being
Right.
able to
Right.
continue.
Right.
And they did release him from the hospital, from what I heard on the JP and Trav show just a little while ago. So I'm happy to hear
Okay.
that. But again, this is when you start thinking about some of this stuff, and you've got, I mean, they've got some amazing schools right there in Tulsa. I mean, why wouldn't you, schedule it a little different? I mean, I don't know, how likely it is that Oklahoma would have given up, the
Bro,
Palace,
and and
but
and
they
and
might have.
and, and, and the ridiculous part is the people saying, you know what? It's no big deal. Who cares?
Correct. Correct.
The times of spring
But that's
games
what, and
meaning
the point I
something
was
are
making is
falling
that you can
apart.
make a positive out of it by taking it on the road in the state and showing that you care and you want to be who everybody in the state is rooting for, or that you can root for us too, if that makes sense.
Well, and and this seems to be, I don't know, just sometimes why I in the minority is
Right.
because I think we can always look to do more. And I don't know,
Right.
sometimes I feel like you're just holding yourself back if you're, I don't know, trying to tug strings all the daggone time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, and here's the thing, and one thing I would tell you is I feel like you have the right to, and you should be, as the guy that's on, you're on every day on your podcast and talking about everything. You cover this thing as close as anybody else. So you have every right to question this. And I mean, I'm just doing it just to mess with you guys. You know that.
Dude,
But
it's
that being said, I feel like you should be on here questioning that. You should be doing it on your show, and they should be providing an answer for what the hell is going on over there. And because the bottom line is like I said, I feel like this is a time that if this is a young coach and a guy that isn't so freaking set in his ways and thinking there's nothing that he can do that's going to get him fired, which because I feel like that's it. But he would have been like, hey, you know what? They would have. I mean, if I can come up with that idea, I know he can. You know what I mean? To say, hey, let's check Tulsa.
right, right, right,
Let's
correct.
find out one of the biggest high schools in the state. Let's go to there and say, hey, we want to do this for you guys. Even let them come in free. Who gives a shit? Do something that way that you're making your program more visible to these kids.
Well, and that's what again, like there's the when people are saying that it's not that big of a deal and it's not like it grows the fan base or anything like that. That's where I'm like, you guys are completely wrong, right? When you take a buddy or a brother-in-law or a cousin or an uncle or you know what I mean, somebody you went to
Yeah.
college with, somebody you went to basic training with. When you take people like that to games, they can talk crap the whole way there, and then
Sure.
have that kind of experience, and then leave saying, okay, you know what, man? O State's pretty legit. I'm gonna
That
start
was
paying more
cool.
attention.
Yeah.
And I've
Why
seen
not?
it happen hundreds of times. And even when I was a kid, right? When I'm 8 years old, being at those spring games, that's when you fall more in love because
Yeah.
you're
Because
not
you get to
just
see
talking
all of
about,
them perform. You find
yes,
out everybody who's
yep.
on the team.
And then
Yeah.
you again, if you view things from a
Gets you
football
excited about the
perspective,
future.
because you can watch the freshman, right? You know he's probably going to be redshirted, but what
Sure.
is there, right? Are the intangibles there? Is the footwork there? Is the arm strength there? He may not play it down for 2.5 years, but what do you have?
Right.
And now we're not going to know that. We can go 73,000 deep at quarterback and we're going to have no flipping clue, right? This
Very
is
Okie Lite.
very, very
Very
out of
Okie
touch,
Lite. Come
out of
on.
league decision.
Yeah, I feel like it's a missed opportunity, and it's a shame that it's really a shame that it's gotten to that point where you got almost that don't give a crap attitude, and that's not. This is I was saying earlier, and I feel like this is the time that this should not be going on. That you're 1 year away. I was talking to somebody else about this. You're 1 year away from Oklahoma moving on to the SEC. You don't have to really. You're not really competing with them anymore. You're going to compete with them as far as on the recruiting trail some,
Yeah,
particularly in
yeah, yeah.
Oklahoma. But it's not gonna be. It's this is look the fact that they're not playing the Bedlam game anymore for at least the next
8,
years,
10 years,
probably.
yeah. 8
I,
years
I
at
I mean,
least.
and I don't see, and I would tell you it's until Gundy's not there. Um, but because I know OU wants to play it, but because the thing is that you're only gonna now that the SEC is so strong, they're not gonna have them, and they're gonna do 9 conference games, which I'm so glad about because they're gonna get rid of cream puff you at the end of the year, like you always see with those dudes. What?
Do you say the SEC is so strong?
It's gonna be so strong in football. Oh, dude, think about it.
Dude, you're trying to tell me right now the bottom half of the SEC is better than the bottom half of the Big 12?
I don't know about the bottom half. Depends on who we're talking about. Are we talking Missouri? No.
Okay, no,
Are we
I'm just
talking
saying, no,
Vanderbilt?
you
No.
you know good and daggone well. Right now in the Big
What I'm
12, there's
telling you
not
is,
a gimme
if
game.
you got a 9 game schedule, just like the Big 12 does, do not tell me
Yeah,
that the
but dude,
Big 12
you
is
but
better
you
than
still
the
have the
SEC. Knock
Vanderbilts.
that
Like
shit
we don't
off. Don't
have
even try that.
Kansas is not Vanderbilt anymore. So you're still gonna have more get right games than you do at this very moment.
Stop it.
Oh,
Stop it.
come on, bro.
What I was trying to tell you was that this is a time where if you're Oklahoma, this game would still mean something, even if it's not about conference standings.
100%.
But you get a
Yeah,
chance to go up against a good opponent that wants to kick your butt, and you want to kick theirs too. So this is a good
oh yeah,
game to have. I've never understood the thought of getting rid of rivalry games. It's what makes
right.
freaking college football compelling. It isn't about
Well,
market size. It isn't about any of that other crap. It's about rivals. That gets eyes on them and that makes money. And that's what the whole damn thing is about. Good
well,
grief.
and there's
I don't
evidence of that because whenever all these rivalries come back,
Who gives a
right?
shit about
Whenever
Central
there's
Michigan, bro? Who cares about Central Michigan? Or for that matter, if you get Arizona State and they're a conference foe, great. But
right,
like aside from that, would you rather see them play Oklahoma or play Arizona State or Central freaking
right,
Michigan or somebody like, and for that matter, SMU if you're talking about OU?
right. Yeah,
Get
yeah.
out of here.
I'm
Nobody
tracking.
cares. Arkansas State. Nobody cares about that. The
Well,
Arkansas State game was obviously a replacement for Georgia, but
and now with the extended playoff, you can be more aggressive in scheduling, right? Because if you lose a decent
2 losses
sized
isn't gonna
P5
hurt you
game.
anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, if you were to play, if you're Oklahoma State and you lose like you always do, but you don't get blown out and it's a tight game, then it's not a bad loss because you're playing an SEC team and they always beat you. And you know this is true, bro. You don't have to like it. I get that you don't like it. I get that you don't like it. I'm just busting your chops. We'll put a pin in this one. I just wanted to get your opinion on that. We can move on to some other stuff.
Good, man. You know, it's crazy. We're in the evolutionary process still of the game changing significantly.
A lot.
It used to be that possession was 9/10 of the law. Remember that? Well, nowadays it's perception is 9/10 of the law. So regardless of what is happening, the perception is there was little to no effort put into making the spring game happen in some capacity. And that's the failure. Who failed here? Don't know. But it doesn't matter.
It's a lot of levels of failure on that. There's a lot of levels.
If you only get
Very Okie Lite.
Very
Very Okie Lite. Come on.
Decision.